Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Amanda, and again I am playing along with Christy's Beautiful Life, her best of 30 days of sketches. Today we have a sketch by Allison Davis. This one is a 2-page spread, which I have not done in a really long time. And honestly, when I first looked at this sketch, I was not quite sure that I was going to do both pages. I had thought for a minute that maybe I would do one page or the other. I kind of liked both of them, but I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to do a 2-page layout, as I know they take a lot more time and a lot more product. But I have a whole lot of Hip Kit Club kits sitting here that I've kind of been hoarding. Some of them I kind of just don't know what to do with because they're not really my style. So I decided to pick up this Kit Club, and I did decide to do the 2-page spread. So I'm showing you my first photo, and that photo there I took at my parents' house in Michigan, out on the lake, which we grew up on. And then that picture there is here in Texas, where I live now. So I decided that I would go ahead and do the 2-page spread. It's going to be kind of a now and then type of thing. As you can see, I only have 2 photos versus the, 10 or so that were on the sketch. But I'm going to do it kind of one photo for one side of the sketch in the then, and then one on the other side of the sketch in the now. And these are the papers I pulled out from my hip kit. I believe these are from May 2022. Please don't quote me because I'm not absolutely sure, but these are the papers I pulled out that for sure I know I want to use. I am going to grab a couple of things of cardstock, and I'm going to do my best to use up some of this kit. So I'm going to break here in just a second, and when I come back, I'm going to have cut out several things and have some layers ready to go so that you don't have to watch all of that. My videos are already long enough, and I knew with a 2-page spread it was going to be even longer, so I did the best I could to cut as much as I could out of my process while still doing 2 pages at one time. So I apologize if it's a little choppy. I don't mean it to be. I'm still kind of learning on how to put these videos together. So what I have in front of me, you can see that I have kind of arranged things the way that I want them to be. Not everything is all tacked down at this point. I don't have any matting on my photos yet, but I did go ahead with that little frame sheet, and I cut out a bunch of the little black and white frames to kind of make that design, that sort of diagonal design that was on the one half of page 2. And I knew when I saw this sketch that I wanted to do something like this. I was either going to use one of these papers and cut out all these frames, or I was going to use some wood frames that came in some of my hip kits. I'm really working to try to get through some of my older stash, although this one is May, so it's not super old, but I am trying to use some of it up at this point. The ephemera that I pulled out came with that May 2022 Hip Kit Club kit, and as well as I think I'm not sure if those Simple Stories chipboard came with that kit or a different one. It did come with a Hip Kit Club, but I might have pulled it from a different kit and just kind of pulled out things I thought would work. A lot that I have out there will stay, and some will not stay. I tried to kind of get rid of any of the video where I'm just kind of messing around looking for things to put on here, just because it just made it that much longer and nobody wanted to watch that. So at this point, I have gone through the ephemera, I have gone through some chipboard, and I've also gone through some puffy stickers. I went ahead and I put kind of an oval puffy sticker down there to be surrounded by that oval frame. And so I went ahead and put that oval frame up on just some foam strips so that it would be raised up. Well, what am I doing here? I can't see what I'm doing. Oh, I'm going through the wood frames that came with this kit as well. I decided that I wanted to sprinkle in a little bit of the wood frames in here too. So I'm going to replace, I believe, 3 of the frames here. You're going to see me do 2 of them, and then later I will come back, and that circular one that's sort of underneath the photo there, that one is also going to be a wood frame. I just started to cut out when I was gluing down all of those frames because I figured we don't need to see all that. So here I go. I'm going to start roughing up the edges of it, and then I'm gluing it down. So I've gotten a couple of rows glued down, and I decided that I wanted to go ahead and make a couple of shaker pockets. So I'm going to leave the process for making one shaker pocket in for those of you who maybe do not know how to make a shaker pocket, but I'm not going to show you both. So this one I'm just using the one little square frame that's up above the wooden one I just put in. And to do this, all you have to do is you're going to put some kind of double-sided tape around the front portion of the shaker pocket, so the part that's going to be up on the top. And then you are going to stick just some acetate onto that. I use the acetate from Spiegel Mom Scraps, which you can see right in front of me. You get these 8x10 sheets. I think there's like 10 of them or 12 of them in there. I couldn't read that. And I just use a little piece by piece every so often. So once you get the acetate down, you're going to want to go around the inner portion of the hole on your pocket with some foam tape. Now you can use really thick Big Mama foam tape from Spiegel Mom Scraps. That stuff is awesome. But for this, because it's just so skinny and small, I'm just using the skinny little strips I got from Amazon. They're like 1/8 of an inch or something like that. And I just go all the way around the outside of it. And that's going to give me that dimension to be able to put some sequins in it. So I believe that sequin mix is called Vintage Garden. You guys could see it on the screen better than I could, and I think that's what I remember. I don't normally get so fussy about putting sequins in my shakers, but this one I wanted it to be particularly full, and so it's not actually going to move around that much on the page, but it also has some larger kind of cup-shaped flowers in it that I wanted to be facing the right way. So that's what you see me kind of fussing around with in there, is I was trying to arrange some of those flowers to be facing the way that I wanted them to be facing. So at this point, I put just some regular white cardstock. You can put anything you want on the back. You can put a print if you want. Some people use vellum. I've done that myself as well if you want to be able to see through. But since the sequins aren't really going to shake or move much, I just use some plain white cardstock just to keep everything in place. So there is my one little shaker. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this cute little butterfly on here. As soon as I get it down, I realized I had not taped it down quite yet. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere that little cute butterfly. And then I go ahead and finish roughing up all of the edges and gluing down all of those little frames. So off camera, before I cut, I had glued down all of the little pieces of so I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs. They are going crazy out in the other room. Hopefully you can't hear them, but they are barking like crazy. On the other side of the layout, I went ahead and I glued everything down. All my layers are down. And on the kind of white floral paper that I'm doing right now, I used my Distress ink, and I just kind of rubbed just in a few spots. It's not by any means all over the place on that printed paper. See, you can see here how I did it. I'm letting you see it here. I just did it to match on the other side, and I'm just using that to map my photo. I'm going to leave a little bit there, excuse me, just so that I can tear it. You'll see in just a second after I scuff up the edges of this that I'm going to go ahead and tear the bottom. Sometimes I like to do that on these pages. You can see I tore the floral on that right hand side as well. So I like to kind of keep it, I don't know, it just feels a little softer to me if we tear it. So I went ahead and I tore the bottom just for a little bit of interest there. it didn't really need to be, but I just like how it looks. I like that it's a little bit interesting. It's a little bit softer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tack down my photos because I know that that's where I want them and they're not going to need to move anymore. I used glue on this side just because on both photos, the first layer, I just used some tissue paper just for that, a little bit more of that softness. And I don't really like to use my ATG on the back of tissue paper because it tends to tear. So I just used a little bit of glue there. So at this point, I took out the 2x3 cards that came with the hip kit. I didn't show you guys these because I wasn't sure if I was going to use them, but I decided in the end that I was going to use one with that kind of fancier little frame here. It's just a yellow card with a pretty little butterfly on the bottom, and I thought I would just kind of frame that little butterfly and then cut out around the wood frame. So I will fast forward here so you don't have to see me cutting that all out. I accidentally cut just a little bit too much of my video, so I didn't show you as I was picking out my title. It's going to consist of a few different puffies. So that up there where I have celebrate, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to raise that up on some foam just because it's going up on the photo, which is layered up just a little bit. And so it wasn't sitting quite straight. So I put a little bit of foam on the bottom of that celebrate. So my title is going to read Celebrate Then and Now. The then and now, I used the alphabet that came with the Hip Kit Club, the May Kit. I am so sorry, guys. I think I'm coming down with a little something, so I keep feeling like I have to cough. So the then and now, as I said, came from the Hip Kit Club kit for May, and it's kind of these, I don't know, they're kind of sea foamish, tealish color. They're kind of an odd color, but I think it gives a little pop to the page. And the ampersand was actually, I think, from Felicity Jane. So I just kind of grabbed stuff from all over to kind of make this layout work. So I do try to use my ruler to make things kind of straight, but excuse me, in the end, I'm not super duper thrilled with the placement that I put this title. I kind of wish I would have gone a little bit higher with the then and now, but then I couldn't get it straight. So I decided to keep it kind of on par with the ampersand, but now I don't love it, and I do a little bit of stuff later to kind of try to compensate for that, and I still don't love that. But so if there's anything I would change on this page, it would be kind of the position of the title. Here I left this in so that you guys could see all of the product that I was pulling through for this page. That puffies that I have there, that was from kind of like a Hip Kit Club from last year. So I'm just going to grab a few things that kind of have the same color. They've got that beautiful there. And then there's one that says look around, and then a few florals from there. And then from the other page, I'm just going to grab that other floral. And I think that's it from that one. I use that, and then I go ahead and with these adhesive brads from Carta Bella, I'm going to grab a few things from this. I don't remember what that says. I can't read it. But I do end up using almost everything that I pull from here. There's only one thing that I don't use. And I was kind of sad that I didn't use it because I thought it was super cute. And that comes from these puffy stickers here from Carta Bella. I grabbed that little flower stand, and I think it's super adorable, and I really wanted to use it, and it would have looked really cute on this page, but I just don't end up using it for one reason or another. So that one's going to end up getting put back, unfortunately. Makes me sad because I do think it's really cute, and I think it goes really well with those papers. Okay, so at this point, I am just starting to try and put my embellishments, my final embellishments in. I know I say final embellishments. I still have quite a lot that I'm going to do to these pages, but I'm trying to work through at least and put those puffies and those adhesive brads where I want them to be. When I cut, I actually went and I grabbed that striped tag right there as well. And I have this little journaling bit that I am going to use you'll see me place it a little bit later. I do decide to use it, and it's kind of odd for me to do journaling. Back in the day when I started scrapbooking, I used to journal all the time on most all of my pages, but I've kind of gotten away from journaling on my pages. And part of the reason is because a lot of the pictures that I'm scrapping, we weren't really actually doing anything when I took the pictures. I just thought they were nice picture opportunities, and so I took them, and there just wasn't really a story behind it. So I haven't been doing a whole lot of journaling. I really need to get back to do that. So on this page, you will see me add a little bit of journaling on that little card there that I keep trying to find a home for, and it is going to stay down there. I liked that area. It was kind of empty, and I figured that'd be a good spot for journaling. Now I am going to play around a bit about with the stuff that goes along with it, but it'll stay down there. So with the tag, I decided that it was too long, so I went ahead and I tore it, but then I wanted to use the other half on the other page so that I could bring that striped paper or striped pattern in, but I decided that I want it to also be a tag. So I'm going to use the upper part of the tag, and I'm going to make another one with that bottom part. So then I will have a tag poking out from the right side of that photo and from the bottom of the other photo. So we've got the striped paper on both sides of the layout. So at this point, I am just adding some hemp twine. I have a great big thing that I got from who knows where, Joann's or Hobby Lobby or somewhere. I've got a big spool of it, and I'm going ahead to add some hemp twine to both of those tags. Just a little something to give a little bit more dimension and some interest to those tags so they're not just flat, because I don't pop them up at all. Although I do rough up the edges a bit, I don't like put them on any adhesive foam or anything to give them any other dimension. So I like the look of the twine with it. I think it goes with this kind of gardeny theme. Even though my pictures are of the water, it's okay, guys. It's fine. I just liked the pictures, and then I liked the papers, and so I just did my own thing. I didn't really go along with the theme there because honestly, I would have so many beach and lake and ocean pictures, because that's where I have lived all my life, is by lakes or oceans, and I get tired of just having those themes. So I'm just gonna do a garden theme for my water pictures, okay? I think we can all get behind that. It's outdoors, so I think it works just fine. At this point, again, I'm just starting to put the finishing touches on everything and getting everything glued down. I'm getting that wood frame with the pretty little butterfly over there. And I also grabbed another black and white frame to kind of tuck so that it's just a little cluster over there. My last few layouts, I have not been doing too well on just like main clusters. I have been embellishing all over my pages, which, is fine. The more the merrier, I always say. So I'm just going ahead and I'm embellishing where it feels good, and I'm not really sticking to any specific places where I want to have clusters. That's one thing about scrapbooking, is you can really do it however you want to, and you don't have to stick to your same style all the time. This 30 Days of Sketches challenge has been really fun for me and really eye-opening for me, because I have tried so many things that are not normally what I would try. A lot of these layouts are very different from how I would normally do a scrapbook page, but that's why we use these sketches, right? So that we can get outside of our comfort zone and we can try something a little bit new and different for ourselves. I know that when I look through everybody else's work, I just think everything is just so pretty, and I wish I could do that, and how come I don't ever do that? And, because we get kind of stuck in our own little idea of how things should look, or honestly, just what our taste is when we're working. But it doesn't mean we don't appreciate and like and want to do things like we see other people do. So sometimes I just challenge myself with these sketches to do something that's outside of what I would normally do. And I like that. I like that now I have a lot of pages that look really different. My Instagram is starting to look really different because there's just so many different styles and so many different types of paper. We can get ourselves kind of in a rut sometimes. So it's nice to be challenged, and it's nice to come up with something a little bit different that doesn't necessarily look like everything else that we've made. So as I'm going now, I'm just going ahead and I'm inking the edges with that same ink that I used to kind of rub onto that white floral paper. It's not a Distress Oxide, it's just a Distress ink. And I just went ahead and did that to the edges of my journaling tag just so that it stood out just a little bit against that floral background. It's hard to see in the video, but against that floral background, it was kind of harder to pull your eye there because there's so much busyness going on behind it. So I just inked the edges up, and I do think that it helped. So I went ahead and I wrote my journaling, and then up above each picture, I put where the picture was taken. Now, I did it kind of different, and I might go in and change one of them. So above the one in Michigan, I put the lake that we were at, which was Lake Huron. And then above the other photo, I put Gulf of Mexico, which is technically kind of true, but that photo is actually of a lake that feeds into it. It's kind of all one thing, okay? So you can see where the Gulf of Mexico empties into these lakes, or these lakes empty into the Gulf, however that works. You can see that it's all one part of a thing, but we call it a lake. But I wrote Gulf of Mexico, Texas, so I don't know if I want to change that or not. Whatever. I was trying to differentiate between freshwater and saltwater, but who cares? It's fine. I may go change it or I may not. I don't know. I have not decided yet. So at this point, I'm just getting, like I said, a few things tacked down that I already had here that was not tacked down yet. Some of them I am putting up on dimensional foam so that they stick up. And there's a lot of texture going on. With this layout, there actually really is quite a bit of texture. There's a lot of things that are popped up, and there are a lot of things that are flat. And then I did some tearing, and I've got the sequins. So there's all kind of texture going on and interest going on this page. So I had not gone through my Scrap and Happy Studios box, but as I was putting down that one little circular ephemera up there on the wood circular thingy, I remembered that I had some Scrap and Happy Studios that had butterflies that were really close or the same as the colorway that went with this kit. So I grabbed a couple of butterflies, but I only had 2 that would match. So I went into one of my newer Scrap and Happy Studios epoxy sets, and there was one that said home on it, and I thought that that was just perfect. So I went ahead and I grabbed that one. So I have 2 kind of greenish and pink butterflies, and then one that says home, and I think that they turned out really cute. So I forgot that I had not glued down my tabs up there, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to get those things all in place along with that little banner right there. And I know you guys notice sometimes I am scuffing the edges with my scuffing tool. Sometimes I'm scuffing them with scissors like right now, and sometimes I'm doing it with my fingers. It really just depends on how delicate or small the ephemera that I'm putting on there is. If it's really thin and tiny, I tend to use my fingernail because I can have a lot more control. If it's kind of a rougher edged thing like a flower or something, or if it has a lot of curves like that banner, I tend to use my scissors. They just seem to work a little bit better. My edging tool I use more for like the straight edges. So anything curved, I do scissors. Anything tiny, I do fingers. Anything else, I use that scuffing tool. And it just seems to work with me. See, there I go with my fingernails. That guy's just really small, and I didn't want to, rip him, because I tend to do that if they're really small, and I use, especially my scuffing tool, I will rip it quite easily. And my scissors are pretty sharp, so I do have to be careful with those when I decide to scuff something up using those scissors. So just a little tip for you guys, if you kind of struggle with scuffing things up that are tiny, you can use your fingernails, and that seems to work really, really well. So that very last butterfly flare, he doesn't stay there. I was having a hard time figuring out where I wanted him, and I kept moving him all around. Now you can see him because I kind of fast forwarded through the video. He's over there on one of the circles on the very right hand side, but he's not going to stay there either. I just could not figure out where I wanted him, and so I put him literally everywhere. But there, right there, that is where he is going to stay. So I liked him nestled up there with the beautiful, so I'm going to go ahead and give him some glue, and he is there now, and I don't have to worry about moving him around anymore. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going ahead and I'm putting the adhesive brads on, and I don't know if you guys noticed me moving that boot all over the place. I cut a lot of the footage of me doing that out, but man, that little guy, I could not figure out where I was going to put him. He, I think, was literally everywhere on this layout at one point in time. I thought he was simply adorable, but I just couldn't figure out where he needed to sit or where he wanted to sit. So I just kept moving him whenever the fancy struck me. So I just put that last, well, actually right now I'm placing the last brad, but the one I put over there on the tab, or at the tag, I'm sorry, that's not going to stay there. I didn't care for it there. I wanted something on the tag, but I did not like that. So he's going to go over here on this side, right up there on that top square. And I like how that looks up there. That guy seemed a little lonely, so he needed a friend. And so I put that little tab up, or that little brad up there. So almost last, but not quite, I'm going ahead and I'm going through my Tim Holtz phrase stickers. And I found that one there, and I put it there because it worked really well. But then I'm going to go through and find one that I think works even better in that spot. And you're going to see me kind of be like, oh, this should be right here. Right there, I'm still thinking I'm going to leave that phrase there. But then I look at it and I'm like, oh, no, this one works so much better over here. So I go ahead and stick him over there with that cluster with the wooden frame. And then I go ahead and cut this in half because it's long and I don't want it to stick out that far. And I go ahead and I put that under the picture of my current home lake. So I thought that it worked well. And then I have one more down there on the bottom that I go ahead and stick in there with a few phrases. Okay, so we are almost done. I have literally like 2 more things that I'm going to do. And the first one is sequins. Okay, so I wanted kind of a smattering of sequins around the page. And of course, you know, I want it to look messy, like I just threw it on the page. So, you know, as you see me going over that one down on the bottom and being picky about where they fall, completely off the point of having them look just scattered on the page. But, you know, I wanted them to look a certain way, and there I go spilling half of them, but that's okay. I'll pick them up in a minute. And then up here, I do a little bit better job of just scatter. I'm sorry, I almost said splatter, scattering them across the page. But as you see, I still played around with it a little bit to kind of get them where I wanted them at. And then this last one, I just kind of sprinkle, and I feel like, yep, there we go. You know, that's pretty good. And a little tip, if you put your sprinkles, if you don't have a little container, some people have a cute little dish that they put their sprinkles in. I do not have one of those. So I just like to put it on a little scrap piece of paper, and then I can just kind of boop and put it right back in its little envelope. So yes, I put a lot of sequins on there, and I am going to glue one by one with my fine liner bottle and my little poking tool there. But no, I don't make you watch it, because that would be awful to make you watch me glue down every single one of those sequins. But at this point, they are glued down. Well, most of them. I think I have one little guy you'll see kind of fall off when I pick up my page here in a minute. And here I am trying to fill in that spot. Remember I said earlier that I didn't like in between the parts of the title. I didn't like the space there. Well, I put a few of the little dots there, and they're okay. I don't love it. I mean, I like them on the other parts of the page, but I don't love it, so I don't know. It's all right though. I'm not going to change it or anything. So the very last thing I'm doing is I have two little wooden pieces that I'm going to place. One is that circle that I put up there by my flare, and the last is this little wooden frame. Of course, I play around with it for a minute because, you know, I don't ever know what I want to do until I get it there, but I decided I just like it like that, and I like the extra wood on that side because I have a few pieces on the right hand side, and I felt like I needed a few pieces on that left hand side as well. And there we go. There's my little extra sequin, and here are some close-ups. Look at that sparkle. I love sequins, and that mix is just so pretty, and it had all of the colors that I needed for this paper kit that I used. So I feel like it worked really, really well. I love those little shaker pockets. I just think they're so cute. And that is it, guys. So that is a 2-page spread from me. I did my best to make this as short as I could. I'm so sorry that it's still 30 minutes long. I apologize. I'm going to keep working on that, but I thank you for watching, and if you liked this video and you want to see more, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.